All right, we should be live. Welcome to Cross Country Talk. My name is Brian Hobbs, and I've got my guest tonight, Dylan Pankow.
Good evening.
How you doing tonight, Dylan?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking. You?
Doing all right. We're with the whole COVID thing going on. We're out camping here on the coast on some private property, so we're doing the whole social distancing and keeping to ourselves, but yet enjoying some nice, cool weather. So.
Yeah, we were just talking about how now's a great opportunity to go be out, be free, and be alone because dispersed camping is what they're actually telling. Not camping, but dispersed, be apart from each other, and well, hence dispersed camping. It fits in great. It's great to see you're out there and see the inside of your trailer this time. I've seen it from the back end from when you were getting ready for King of the Hammers, but now I get to see the grand tour almost.
Yeah. So this is the first time that a cross country talk we've tried to do a remote show. So this is all running off a laptop and a cell phone for signal. So we'll see how it goes tonight. If it happens to fall apart, we'll see you next week.
That's pretty resourceful. I gotta
Yeah.
give you credit. Tethering everything off your phone.
So yeah, we have Dylan Pankow tonight. He is, I would almost call him an expert in dispersed camping. Uh, kind of sum up who you are, Dylan, if you can do that like within a minute of just like everything you got going on and who you are.
So Dylan is currently a handyman by 20 years experience in construction. Love construction, want to stay in construction. So my method of staying in that while getting out of construction, swinging a hammer. I don't want to be the guy that's 50 something years old with bad knees, bad elbows, and a bad back, and who knows what else. So I'm slowly working, transitioning from physical building of residential construction with an emphasis on electrical into now I've got my part 107. So now I'm going to move into commercial and industrial inspection with drones. So the most recent job, we used a drone to take a bunch of pictures of a roof of a commercial building that was 2 city blocks long, turn that all into one picture that could be zoomed in and see a nail head on the top of the roof. Um, Dylan Pankow loves to be out in the woods. I believe in recharging my batteries more often than your cameras and your laptops and your cell phones. I think it's good for us to disconnect and to reconnect with nature where we were meant to be in the first place. Um, Currently, I'm the transition going from what size nails and screw nail pattern to for drywall into ISO and shutter speeds. It's been quite a challenge learning FAA maps and METARs and whatnot. Huge challenge, but worth every minute of it. Now that I've cleared a lot of the steep parts of the hurdles, I feel like it's happier sailing and easier sailing from here. More of a maintaining than a having to get going from a stop sign. Now I'm maintaining freeway speed with cruise control, even though I haven't quite hit my speed yet. But I think I found my groove.
Nice. And then how I met you was out in the forest, and I found a connection because I'm kind of a small up and coming YouTuber, and so are you.
Oh yeah, very much small
Um,
upcoming, very small.
yeah, and you've got your own channel. You've done some of your tiny houses on that channel, right? Or was that a different channel?
Actually, I have 3 channels. I have Dylan Pankow, my old company that I used to sell RC plane parts for online, RC FUNLAB, RC Fun Lab on YouTube. I have some of my old experimentation back in the days when I was first getting into RC. I've been doing RC actively for radio controlled specifically to aircraft, whether it be rotary or fixed wing, with an emphasis more on the fixed wing, to be clear. I have a lot of videos on there of like firing rockets remotely or trying different products or how to make different products work better. So I have RC Fun Lab. Still, I leave those videos up because they are a resource. And although I don't sell those products anymore, other people do, and I figure, well, what leave them up. And then we have Paprika Clark, which is my wife, slash bungalow to go as one word, I think it is. Um, and that's bungalow singular. That's where our tiny house videos would be because there was a period of about 5 years, in which we did actively build tiny homes and teach tiny homes, consult for tiny homes, consulting physically, like, oh, I'm stuck with this part of the framing, roofing, plumbing, or electrical. Can you come get me unstuck? I would go get them unstuck. Or Pepper would do 2 and 3D design to give people, if they wanted to, some help designing their own custom unit, not download a tumbleweed plan or pay the, well, they're good plans, don't get me wrong, but they're not cheap. Somebody wanted their own thing, then, well, here you go. Here's your floor layout. Now hire a contractor to get the framing done.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really chopped there. I keep going,
No
but yeah, I've been on YouTube for not an active presence, nowhere near as much as right now. We're posting multiple times a week. Before, it'd be like every few months I'd post something. We would do RC Fun Lab. I'd launch something every couple of weeks. Bungalow to Go, we did pretty strong, really well, like every week for about a month and a half, 2 months. We tried really hard, did really well, but circumstances beyond our control, they just didn't work out. And this channel finally feels like we've kind of hit a groove. If you look back on my channel 10, 11, 12 years ago to the first video when we're beating up an old truck out by Lake Pillsbury, which we did have a permit that said to be wrecked or destroyed on the DMV form.
Nice.
If you look all the way back at that one, the editing is really bad, but it's got some good voiceovers from funny or famous movies. And then you start going up and you start to notice some effort in editing, but never really storyline. And now I'm actually, after all this time, got some, I feel like I've found what I like to post about and make videos about, and that's being out and about in the woods. And even more recently in the last month, because that was more like the last year and a half. My wife's doing more of the editing and our storytelling. If for anybody, I don't know how many people have seen my older stuff versus what we're just posting just now in the last week or two, and then upcoming is tremendous. We're 100-fold better. It's amazing with a good storyteller. It's one thing to get your aperture right and your shutter speed and the right ND filter or polarized filter, all those things correct. And still not tell a good story. So I'm excited to see what all happens there. So yeah, I've been on YouTube for a long time, but this is finally where I've been active for a year and a half. And actually, as far as according to my drone, my Mavic 2 Pro, which is what I was flying the day I met you, it's 2 days from now is when I met you.
Okay. Oh, wow.
A year ago in 2 days, according to my drone. I don't
wow.
know how accurate that is, but
Interesting.
Yeah. I was thumbing through making, I keep track of my pins on Google, and I was thumbing through all of my flight logs because, as you know, DJI tracks every flight, and I went through every single flight. And some of them, it stores a little tiny thumbnail that you can barely make out. And I was able to make out my truck, your service truck. Actually, no, it was whoever the other group was. Remember, there was another group that day?
Mm-hmm.
Their service truck, and then everybody standing in the middle in between them.
Gotcha.
I remember this spot, man.
Yeah, I want to real quick say hi to Chad. He's in our chat there. He's usually the first guy that comes on and says hi whenever we go live. So,
what's up, Chad? How's it going?
So if we got anybody else in the chat, or if you don't know how to get to chat, if you're on your cell phone, I think there's a spot there that says live chat, and I think it's the same on the computer, isn't it? Pops up on the right or on the bottom.
The part that gets me sometimes is a little X button on a second from the left. You got to collapse the comments to see the live chat.
Okay. So yeah, excited to have Dylan on the show. Cross country talk. We try to tell stories of anything from land, water, air that's cross country. And I think Dylan, you're perfect for the show, just because in dispersed camping, I think that's kind of a gateway for some people to get out and start their adventures.
Absolutely.
And you do quite a bit of that, don't you? How often do you go out dispersed camping?
Not very often. Only 14 days a year.
4 days. And maybe explain it to the folks what actually dispersed camping is.
So I go dispersed camping. Let's see, the quickest way would be, I'm dispersing myself from everybody else. I'm trying to find a spot in the forest nobody else has, very few even know about. We go out and in the Mendocino National Forest is where my focus is, and BLM, and with an emphasis on Indian Valley Reservoir. When we go out and find places, we try to be as remote as possible. That's dispersed camping. There are, how do I explain? I'm not, I'm still learning the flow of this kind of explanation, but anything a mile and a quarter or so past a campground, you're dispersed camping. In the Mendocino National Forest, it is allowed. So if you're driving along, say, 22 and 11, and you find a little turnoff that's more than one car length off the side of the road, and you're not breaking trail, there's a fire ring there, you're allowed to stay there. That doesn't mean you're allowed to have fire, just so we're clear. You're allowed to stay there. That's called dispersed camping. So you can drive along. Well, a lot of times what we do is we drive until our heart says that, hey, I like that spot. Go back. We'll pull over and check it out. After walking around, if it still doesn't quite have us, we'll get back in the truck or the car and just keep going. You've got, what, 918,000 plus acres without a single, and the only national forest without a single paved road, or a single paved road that goes all the way through it. You're talking thousands of miles of trails, from forest highways, mountain highways, and end roads, which I'm still waiting to find out what the definition of the end means. If anybody knows that, throw it in the comments, please. I would appreciate it. I know all the others. But to me, that's the way to go, because you can bring buddies and stay near each other, and that's still dispersed camping and legal. Or you could find a spot that's way out in the middle of nowhere. It's all up to you. And there are places in the Mendocino National Forest that I'm discovering that give you the feel of kind of both. Like an example would be Sugar. I always get it wrong if it's plural or not. Sugar Spring or Sugar Springs campground has a vault toilet, but only 2 camp spaces. To me, that's almost dispersed camping. So if you and your friend went up there and you both occupy the spot, you're dispersed camping by yourselves, but you still have the advantage of a vault toilet. Well, how would you know that unless someone actually took the time to make a video and throw it on YouTube? So me, I love to explore and I love to make videos. So that's what you got. If you find a spot that you want to check out and it's in Mendocino National Forest, type in the keywords and see if I've got a video. I'm actually out there, I'd say at most every 2 weeks. I'm doing a day trip or I'm doing a camping trip. And the camping trips are generally 3 to 5 days. Sometimes lately what we've been doing is going with some people to show them some areas around there. And they'll come with us, say, Friday, Saturday, and then take off Sunday. Pepper and I'll stick around till Tuesday, just enjoying the place, discovering new places, and documenting those new places. And it's a lot of fun to have somebody now that I can actually bounce ideas off of and make sure that my videos are more complete as far as forethought and conviction of all conviction, whatever, of all the points, make sure everything is said and is necessary. So it's good to have somebody there to check me off. But that's a learning curve too. Just like going live, that was, learning curve like anything else. So I'm stoked about it. And again, to me, it's recharging my batteries. When I get out there, my lungs feel better. I emotionally feel better. My head feels less cluttered. And that might also be partially because I live right next to a busy road. So there's constant, zoom, zoom, zoom.
Right.
So, and the fire department and the police department and the ambulance, they're like this. So maybe that's part of why I feel so much better out there. But hey, everybody else pays or gets to benefit from it because I'm not documenting every single minute of it. And it's 1 camera, 2 camera, up to 9 cameras was our record at one point. We're out. That's quite a bit we're learning how to work with and incorporate. The multicam action shots are pretty sweet when you can transition from camera to camera.
So you're saying that you're driving along and you just look for a spot to disperse camp, to find that spot of your own. And what makes a good spot in your mind? I mean, what do you have to have? Is it the view? Does it have to be water? What is the ideal dispersed camping site for you?
So for me, water and fire are low priorities. I don't have to have swimming and I don't have to have a campfire. They're nice, don't get me wrong. Campfire I'd rather have over the swimming if given the choice, just so we can understand that one. I like to be in from a bluff. I don't really like the view of like unzipping my tent and you're right on a cliff edge. Not because I'm worried about rolling off the edge at night. I don't like the wind to come in at you. When you are on the plateau and the wind is coming up the hill, the further back you are, the more the wind's going to go up and over versus circulate right here. And you'll just be in this swirl all night long. Your tent's going to shake and probably keep you up. If that's your thing and you like the view, that's great. Me, I don't want the wind and the draft, so I like to find something in away from a bluff. I like shade. I like tree cover if I can find it. Now you go to like Indian Valley Reservoir, very few and far between. They do exist, but there's not nearly as many places to stay. It's more chaparral and bushes, manzanita and other stuff that's just not that much fun. So that's definitely something I'm going to look for. I don't like to see the main road or hear the main road. It's nice to, have some idea what's going on. Recently, we've been staying at Board Tree a whole bunch, and that's
Okay.
on County Road 312 off of FH7, which leads you to private property. So there's a fair amount of traffic, but they're far enough away that you don't really hear it. And the wind, fortunately, I guess it's called the prevailing winds, go the other direction from camp. So, um, being off the main road is kind of a relative term. I guess I might put that in the optional too. If it's a really sweet spot, but you're 4 car lengths off the road, I might be willing to stay. But generally speaking, I would like to be a little ways in. Board Tree for me was exciting because you could have a fire. And it's kind of nice, even in fire restrictions, to be able to safely and legally have a
Mm-hmm.
fire. So I don't have high hopes that that's going to stay as vacant as it has been, because deer season starts in like, what, a week?
About a week.
So I'll bet it's going to fill up real good. But when I was there the last 2 times, there was only 2 evenings out of both days that someone stayed, and then the next day they were gone. So um, that's what I like. And but again, in this instance, I really wanted the fire, so we gave up the being dispersed and away from everybody, and sacrificed that for having a fire. But generally speaking, it would be away from the main road, but yet in from a bluff, some tree cover. Again, water for me is not mandatory, or a fire. So I don't care. I don't have to go look on the list of campgrounds on the Mendocino National Forest website to find out where I can have a campfire or not, because if I'm out dispersed camping, I can't have one. Unless it's a portable one with gas that has a shutoff valve,
Mm-hmm.
which is swell and all, but I would never roast marshmallows on something like that. Yuck. All
Right.
the soot from the propane. Oh, yum. It's golden brown. No, it's golden black. Yuck.
So let's go back to the beginning. Where did you grow up, and where did you find your passion for adventure? If you don't mind
I
sharing.
grew up, I'm a Sonoma County native. I lived in Sonoma County, California my entire life. I know it sounds kind of pathetic, but yes, this is where I call home. Grew up in Petaluma, went to Petaluma an elementary school, Petaluma Junior High, Petaluma High School. And then I attended some JC for a couple of years. I studied auto mechanics, diesel mechanics, heavy equipment repair, and general ed, and a little bit of small business management. So I kind
Oh,
of got
wow.
some dispersity because I thought I was going to be a wrench. I really, really just wanted to be an auto mechanic. Studied that real hard for a long time, and then did the shade tree mechanic thing out of a buddy's shop for about 2 years. Did okay. I had plenty of clients. I always had work. But I got sick of people saying, oh, I brought it in for a tune-up and now my clutch slips, or I brought it in to have a spark plug replaced and my brakes don't work. Well, that's not my fault. I'm
Right.
sorry. They're unrelated systems, and I got sick of it. So I said, fine. If I'm not happy, I'm not doing it. And then I moved into construction, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I enjoy building. I did wood shop all the junior high and all high school. So to go into framing a house, it's a natural for me. The only thing that's not natural is your lack of precision is not quite the same when you're framing a house versus building a cabinet. Um, and then in the meantime, though, I've always liked riding bicycles. I've broken my jaw on a bicycle. I was looking at a girl across the street and right into a tree. I mean, that if you had that like TikTok or whatever video of the classic like boy looking at girl drag slams in a tree, that was me at like, shoot, I was in elementary school. I was really young. I'm just going to pull out a grade. I'm going to say fourth or fifth grade, really young. Yeah, I was riding on a flat ground and looked across the street at this girl, and I literally right in front of her just bam into a redwood tree, fell over, cut open my chin. Don't really remember much anything but saying, "Can you get my mom?" and her running away screaming. So, and then my mom came around the corner, threw me in the car, took me to the emergency room. I was lucky enough I didn't have to have it wired shut, but I chewed like a cow, so I chewed sideways for like 3 months. I actually had to retrain myself how to chew. I had a chain snap one time on the downward stroke, and when that happened, I fell off the bike wrist first and broke my arm. A lot of things have happened on two wheels, but I still keep going. Finally, after I got 18, I got enough money to get a two wheels with gas. So I got my first
Oh,
dirt bike. I got an 86 XR 350, the one you'd see in Karate Kid.
right.
I had the non-street legal version of the exact same bike, same year and everything, but I didn't have the turn signals in the metal tank. But saying that, huh?
They're good. I'm just
Yeah,
laughing over
no,
here.
yeah, no, I had the same bike. So when I watch that movie now when I'm 42, it's like, oh, like dating myself. Man, that bike was really old, but that thing ran until the day I sold it. So it was heavy. It was a beast. It was time to go. I got it for, I don't know, under $1,000. I kept it for 12 years. And I think I spent $1,000 on registration and maintenance over the like 10, 12 years I had it. So maybe paid 2 grand. I sold it for $800 when I got rid of it. So
Hmm.
to have a bike for that long and it only cost me a few $100s, I was stoked.
Hmm.
Currently, I have a, let's see, I think it's an '03 Yamaha WR250F. I believe that's right.
Okay.
I like the, personally, I don't really want anything bigger. I think the 250 is a perfect balance for me between lightweight so I can maneuver the bike quickly, but also some power to get on it. It's that fine balance for me. Um, I don't know how to explain it, but so for a long time, Indian Valley Reservoir was dry. Um, you could drive down into the lake bed and you'd be riding along and sometimes a little jackrabbit would run in front of you. Well, you're almost on a stand dune when you're out there. And so it'd be real easy to
Right.
like, oh, that's a lot of fun and swerve and, follow them for a little bit. And the big heavy bike, that's a pain in the backside. But on this little bike, you can just jam that rear brake, get into a slide, roll the throttle and continue the slide. It's a good way to learn how to drift when you're chasing little moving things.
So is this where your passion of camping came from? Was it actually a
Yeah,
dirt bike,
learning.
or
Yeah, I had
were
some.
you
I had been. My dad had always taken us camping, and so did my
okay?
grandparents since dawn of time for me. Knee high to the proverbial grasshopper, all that good stuff. Um, so I've known about camping, but it was always campgrounds to us. And when we went camping, it was whatever we could fit in the car after we put in all the astronomy gear for my dad. My dad was the primary taker. He was the one who took us out most. And we had, in the beginning, we had a little pickup truck, but then after a while, the primary vehicle was an '89 Dodge Grand Caravan. Don't ask me how I remember that. But it was the longer, the grand size, the bigger one, the Grand Caravan. But he was huge on astronomy. And the telescope tripod had a base of like 4.5 feet with these aluminum feet that were like 4 inches wide, stuck out like 3 feet each one of them. The cylinder that had those connected to that was like the main shaft, if you will. Shoot, that thing had to be 8 inches around, aluminum, and then stand 4 feet tall with this like giant plate aluminum thing at a certain angle, and then it had screws to level it out, and then that was just to hold the thing up, let alone the telescope and its filters and the camera gear that went with that. It's like, so Dad, what can we bring? I don't care. Once the telescope gear is in there, you put whatever you want in there. Didn't leave us much room. We also brought the firewood. So we learned how to pack pretty slim, but they put me into Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts. I don't know, one of the two for a little while. And I very quickly caught on to the motto of be prepared. So that kind of camping never really mixed well with me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So like if it'll fit kind of thing. So my life is kind of adapted to how can I make everything fit. So
Mhm.
that's more my style now that because my parents weren't necessarily opposed to dirt bikes, but they weren't excited about the idea of me getting one. So I never really did until I turned 18. At that point, then I'm learning about the National Forest and BLM. So I'm getting out there. At that point, I'm learning what dispersed camping is. Wait, you can come out here and explore, and you can camp right there. Wait, and I don't have to pay any money. Like, how's this work? Like, there's what's the catch? There has to be a catch. There has to be something. And no, you can bring your dog too. You can bring your buddy. It doesn't matter. You just can't stay longer than 14 consecutive days
Right.
in one spot. Um, so that to me was a real hook. But if I have to look back and say that I don't want to focus on the negative, but if I had to go with a positive negative, if there is such a thing, probably is a word for that. I can't think of it. We always went to Whole Mountain,
Mm.
always. So for shoot, I don't know, 6, 7 years, we always go to the same one of two places at Whole Mountain, always.
And that was you and your high school buddies, or
Some, but then more working buddies after high
okay?
school. more than anything. And they're some of the ones that introduced me to it. I did have another friend that introduced me to the M1 near Indian Dick. I had never known about that spot either, and he found it by looking on some paper map, because this is long before Google Maps was around. I don't know how he found this spot, but he knew exactly where to go. We got there and it was amazing. It had water in summer. There was no one around. It was, and the water was real close by. There was a hill we could shoot a nice backdrop for shooting into. It was like, 5 out of 5 almost. Actually, it was probably a 5 out of 5 because it had everything. It had great swimming holes and driving and hiking and riding. At that point, we were still bringing bicycles instead of motorcycles, but
Okay.
I'm getting distracted. So anyway, we went way too many times the whole mountain. And then more recently, I think it was about 2 years ago, we made the plunge and bought a really nice, like, purpose truck, if you will. We went and bought I tow pretty often, so we bought a diesel truck. We go off-roading, so we bought 4-wheel drive. So although we didn't have a huge selection to choose from because we bought it used, we didn't buy it new, could not afford that. We tried to buy something that was more what we needed. Again, the 4-wheel drive, heavy duty, diesel, and we also financed a warranty. So for us, okay, well, wait a second. So we're fully insured and we have full warranty? Let's start branching out. Let's start going places. So we did. We started going different places and exploring different roads. One thing led to another, and then I decided to carry a camera with me one day. I enjoyed just being out driving and not having to worry about my Toyota. I had an 86 Toyota pickup with a custom built Yoda Man engine that cost me $2,800 just for the motor, let alone the other $2,500 for the performance parts I bolted onto it. All the new parts I bolted onto it to replace the old parts. I had owned this truck for almost 18 years, and it was my work of art. I had spent so much money on airbags and power accurate leather seats that were 9-way adjustable for both seats. It had tablet holder, CB, and radio. The CB was grounded everywhere. This thing was my work of art truck and my work truck, but it was never comfortable. Sure, it had off the line, man, that thing had so much power. That's what the engine was designed for. Yoda Man only builds a specific type of engine, and one at a time. Down here in North Park, he'll build, when you order an engine, he builds it for you. It's not like it's sitting on a shelf. So it was beautiful at a high-rise cam. So literally off the line, just so much power to get over the rocks. But if it broke, it was on me. I mean, I couldn't go to work and I had to pay for it. Now when something breaks, they say, here's your $100. How soon can I have it back? So for me, that's invaluable and peace of mind. And we've started, I haven't done the math, but let's see, we bought our car with 30,000 miles and it's got almost 60, and we've had a year and a quarter, year and a half. So that's almost 30,000 miles on that car. And then on the truck, I think every outing we're doing an average of 400 miles, and that's every 2 weeks, let alone work. We're racking up miles.
Right.
I bought the truck with 103,000 and now it's 141,000. So we're racking up the miles. But to me, it's nice to, I can look up on the board and go, those are really nice keys that lead to really nice cars. And there was one morning I woke up at 4 a.m. hankering for fish. I grabbed the Subaru keys, I grabbed some water and some food, and I had water or lines in the water at Plesket Meadows at sunup.
Nice.
Yeah. Sometimes I just get these little urges. And then from that came a video, I don't have my list up, came a video of me just out having fun. And my camera falls at one point and the fiberglass sign that says the En-Road number hits my camera and flings it. And then it lands facing me or something. And it just turned into this really silly, spontaneous, fun video, which was just a day that I just couldn't sleep. So I got up. And that's, I think it's the warranties and the peace of mind and the comfort of the vehicles has made me just want to get out more and just explore. Now my hardest part is remembering the name or the numbers of all the end roads. I can remember the locations. I can document them with the GPS and whatnot, but what road was that off of? That was 20 or 30 or 29 or, oh man, there's so many of them. So it's only been in the last couple of years, and you can see it from my YouTube, my channel, my videos change. They go a lot more frequent to being random around the house videos to more outdoorsy videos, and then all of a sudden it's all outdoor videos. There's some other hobbies and activities, but all the rest, that's maybe 5 or 10% are things other than dispersed camping, whether it's what we did for the day, or an outing we did with a group, or me showing you a location, or me going over regulations, or any number of things. I try to broaden it as much as possible. But yeah, that's that. I guess if I gotta say anything, it was the vehicles and not having to worry about them was my big motivation to get out there and learn more. And then now to come and find out that I didn't need to have these hardcore heavy duty off road trucks to get to a lot of these places. They're not necessary though. The road up Whole Mountain on the M1, there's roads that are so much smoother than that are amazing and way out in the middle of nowhere that you can get to. I've actually seen it with my own eyes. People get. I saw one girl took a Mazda M3 into the game refuge on the M6. Granted, she's a pretty experienced driver, but she never once had to get out of her car and spot herself, and she got in there with no problem. There's a ton of places that I didn't have to have this crazy vehicle that I tried to keep it cheap and easy. So if it did break, I could fix it myself. I didn't need it. Like, I could get a car into a lot of places. Now I'm finding people with like fifth wheel trailers. Was it 20 and 21? There's a guy that's got a fifth wheel back in there that's been doing logging and grading for like a month and a half. And it's a huge trailer, and he's way out there, right. Way out there. The only complaint about the road is the dust. It's unreal, but it's smooth as butter. So, yeah, if I had, in hindsight, I should have spent less money on trying to keep the rig running and a purpose-built, lifted this and that I didn't need, and more on just getting out and having fun. Like, let's see, I'm 43. So I'm starting to get to this, not get to this mindset, but I'm finding myself in this mindset more and more often of, things could end tomorrow. Not that I'm like suicidal or anything, just to be clear. I can get hit by grandma at the farmer's market tomorrow, right? So now I'm like kind of rethinking my balance of like work and putting money in the piggy bank, or getting out there and just enjoying life. Because there's something to be said for both. Yes, there's something to be said for saving for retirement. But what if you never see retirement? So now I gotta be honest, in the last 6 months to a year, I'm really like, this is doing, I enjoy myself out there and I want to be happy. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a slave to the dollar till I'm 100 years old, because I chose to play a lot now and work later.
That's a good point, Dylan. Yeah, get out there now. For folks watching, don't make excuses. Get out there now, because tomorrow can be so much different.
And that could be something totally beyond your control.
Right.
It could be any number of things that we could spend hours talking about, and everybody could comment forever. But it's something, it's been on my mind a whole lot right now. And I got to admit, the last trip we did for 5 days, really, financially, that was not such a good idea. But I mean, we're still okay. We're making our car payments and whatnot. But the way I justify it to myself, if I may, is camping isn't expensive. It's the getting there and coming home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
You can eat the same foods camping that you do at home. It is possible. I've got a generator. You can have really good foods. I thought about that while camping for the same price you're paying at home. You can explore the forest. Instead of driving to and from work, you're burning gas. You're putting wear and tear on your vehicle. So let's take that same amount of mileage and let's do that for exploring N roads, M roads, FH7, wherever it may be. Whether you're coming from the Bay Area or you're coming from Redding or Fort Bragg, any number of these different areas you're coming from. Again, it's the getting there. Like for me to go. So I think you and I've talked about this before. For me in Windsor, for me to go up 101 to 162, which turns into FH7, to go to Plaskett Meadows, if I did that same destination, and so point A, point B, but went over Middletown grade, up the I-5, 162, FH7 to Plaskett Meadows, it's almost the same drive time. So another thing I'm learning now, though, is the drive time worth it? Because if I go up the 101, it's almost forests after Ukiah, the entire stretch. So, it goes back to slowing things down. Do I want to get there? And again, it's what do you want to make of the drive? But the camping's cheap. You can sit in camp. And I kind of like winter camping when you're forced to sit in the tent, listen to the rain, read a book, or sit by the fire with a tarp over it. And you're just kind of forced to, and then we go for a drive once in a while to drive off. dry off, not drive off, just to be clear. It's kind of nice, and you're not going very far, but also to just get out and explore. That's how I got Pepper to stay a little bit longer last time. Hey, we're out here.
Right.
It's going to cost us money to go home.
Right. Oops.
So, well, I hate to seem like I'm good at making excuses, but I know what I like, and if I want it, I'm going to find a way to get it. And so far, these are the tricks for the trade that I've exploited and done okay with, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, here in the chat, Jamie says hi to you, Dylan.
Oh, hi, Jamie.
So at what point did you start making, I know you said you started taking the camera around with you, but when did YouTube videos, editing, you wanted to document your trip? When did all that start?
No, that would be the beat. So if you look, it would be my first uploads. They're called beat, one word. I don't know how this all started, but we found this 89 or 79 Toyota pickup truck, 2-wheel drive, that had been sitting in a field for 11 years with wasp nests, like mud wasps, down in the carburetor. I think this thing was like messed up, but we got the owner to sell it to us for $100. There were 6 of us. And we decided that we were going to get running. We did for like $30. We got it running. A friend of ours was clever enough to go to the DMV and get a 1-day moving permit to be wrecked or destroyed. So the idea is when we were ready to drive it to the wrecking yard to be wrecked or destroyed, we check the box, fill in the date, and sign our name. Well, we towed it up to Lake Pillsbury on a trailer. I mean, we towed it almost all the way up Whole Mountain. No, we towed it to the base and then drove it up. Because we figured, well, worst case, we got the permit in the glove box. We'll fill in the date, sign it right then and there. We have 24 hours from then. So we had it good to go, but we drove it up to camp and we were doing burnouts and all kinds of weird stuff. We got a pop of tires, so we jacked it up at the high lift. And we somehow got the idea of somebody's doing one-legged burnouts where one tire's up off the ground and spinning real fast. They were up in like 4th gear and they're noticing like big rocks are being sent out by the shreds of tire. So one of our friends had the non-clever idea to put on some safety glasses and grab a wiffle ball bat, while another one grabs a pine cone and tosses it under the tire. And he tries. This is on camera. We've got it. It's on YouTube. He hits it. He tries to hit it. Not the best idea. But then we went out and played in the snow, and we were beating this truck. Like all of us were doing everything we'd ever wanted to do in a car, ever, to this vehicle, and we couldn't get it to die. We finally, after 24 hours of beating it. I mean, we're doing burnouts into like 4th gear with a flat tire. We're like sinking it in the snow. I mean, we were doing everything. We were having a good time. And then finally, at like 2 or 3 flat tires, the frame started to crack. One of the fenders started to crack. The float was getting stuck in the carburetor, so we had to carry a rock in the glove box that we would bang the carburetor with to unstick the float. So we called it the carb tuning rock and kept it in the glove box, and it got going every time. And then in the video you can see we were jumping it, and then we were sending it through this super big puddle and just getting it like as fast as we get going and plowing this puddle and getting it stuck. And every time it has to be pulled out because it's got flat tires, it's 2-wheel drive, it's beat, it's hard, and we're not doing so good. And eventually the fuel pump went out. All she wrote. So we threw the truck back on the trailer. All the debris that we had, we cleaned up the whole area. We drove home, and I don't know what got into me, but I found Windows Movie Maker. I downloaded all the footage off a really old point and shoot. I mean, this thing's like not even 720. I mean, you can make it out on the videos, and I hope that my little snippets of audio make it better. But it documented the trip, and I cut it up. I didn't really cut it up so well with like the beat of the music and whatnot, because I didn't know. I was just sharing this. The first one didn't even have music. Like I said, it had little phrases. So every time it changed a cut to a different scene, a different famous person voice would say something from a movie. That was how I emphasized things. And I liked it. So I just kept going from there, but it was not very consistent. And the camera was, like I said, not so motivating, not so good. It wasn't until I got the this one here, the Session, about I think about a year and a half ago. I traded this for 2 slabs of redwood.
Wow.
The guy had used it twice, and I was like, all right, well, it seems like a good deal to me. I didn't pay much for the slabs, and you're cool with it, so all right. And you can see my first video on, if you want to, it's on YouTube of me driving up Hull Mountain. I basically grabbed the camera and just, I grabbed the dirt bike too. I was going to put it on the bike and record my video, but that was, I think it was after the complex fires when you weren't allowed to ride OHV up there. So I got there and discovered that the bike had to stay in the truck. I was a little bummed because I drive a 2014 Chevy 4-wheel drive, and even with a quad ramp that's fairly long, it's a steep incline. Getting a bike in the back of the truck sucks. It is terrible. So whatever though, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I just kept the camera going and just kept talking. Got home and added some music and tried to cut out where I tend to say so, and wince a lot on camera. A lot. To the point where I've actually talked with Pepper where we should do an outtake at the end of the video with a counter. We'll just do what do they call that? A jump cut, where it's boom, 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 boom each time I say it, and the counter go ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Because I wince all the time, and I said anyway. Yeah, I just kept talking and vlogging and recording video, and then came home and then discovered Peter McKinnon and learned what lens distortion was, and went, that's why I got one video where I've got the camera over here. I literally look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. If you look at my Keller, I think it's my Keller Lake video, my back almost looks like it's 90 degrees at my neck. It's really bad, real bad. But the rest of the video is cute, so I'm keeping it up. Yes, I'm referring to myself as cute. Sorry, trying to add some good humor. Oh, Pepper is watching. Hi.
Yeah, and Pepper says, do you remember when I first told you how great your eye for photography was?
We've had, so our real first camera was a DSLR, which I'm not even going to try and get it out. About 9 years ago, she bought me a Canon DSLR Rebel T3E, which then was a great camera, but now is not so good. Light painting, it'll do them if they're pretty bright. Videos, maybe 1080. So we're pushing hard to get a better camera, but for me, it seemed more like when I started to learn about depth of field and stuff, that would be when I learned like about photography, and more than just put it on mountains or person and hit go. Just hit go. There's a lot more to it. And if you can spend the time to learn those different things, the aperture, the ISO, and shutter speed, and you forget about all the other stuff, the quality of stuff just goes through the roof. But this is the first one that got me into editing videos.
Okay.
I was never, I don't know how I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, as a lot of people know, as some people know, Lightroom hasn't been around that long. Photoshop's been around forever. But pretty much everybody knows that Photoshop is a lot harder to use and operate when it comes. It's a very powerful piece of software. It'll do so much wonderful stuff. But not everybody wants to take the time to learn how to do some of the basic stuff that, that we need to do to photographs to clean them up. Photoshop's overkill, if you will. It's having way too much horsepower. You just don't need it. You're never going to use it. Lightroom allows you to do a lot more photo editing a lot quicker. And with that said, now I find myself taking a lot more still imagery because I have access to Lightroom. I can, and that's a whole nother learning curve. But Lightroom is huge for doing the still photography and a lot of fun. But videos are still, I got to admit, a lot more compelling, especially because I love flying, and drones have cameras attached to them.
There you go. And how many drones do you have now?
Currently, we have we have 3 of the 4 Mavic 2s, because we have the Mavic Pro, 2 Zoom, and the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. But there's a Mavic 2 Enterprise Zoom also. We don't have that one. We have the Dual. We wanted the thermal imaging camera. Actually, we have 4 drones, but I don't know if the camera works in the other one. It's about 11 years old. It's made by E-Flight. And the camera looks like a globe. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a sphere that's about 4 inches across, and it only tilts up and down, and has very little stabilization. It's basically like Bluetooth distance for transmission. It's really weak.
Okay.
And you have no telemetry on it. So when you send it out, it's okay. Well, if I push this way, it's going that way. Okay, so it's pointing that way. You really had to know how to fly to get it back. There was a return to home button, but I never trusted it. So yeah, drones have been a big thing. And then to find out you got to get your Part 107, that was a beast. But
And you
working
just got that this last year, didn't you?
November.
Was it November?
Yeah, yeah, I'll never forget that one. That was a huge milestone for me. It's the first time in my life I'm licensed and insured doing a profession.
Was
Uh,
that a pretty easy process?
it was after I discovered, and I'm not promoted by these guys, Remote Pilot 101. I could have done it without them. I tried. I got a friend on Facebook got me in contact with the tower manager here at the local airport. So like a guy that knows the regulations. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was watching Tony Northrup and another gentleman. I was watching their practice stuff. I think I watched the Tony Northrup 2.5 hour video like 4 times. I watched the other one that's about 2 hours, I think 3 times. So no, I was still doing terrible. And then I got onto Remote Pilot and it was 1 to 2 videos a night. Some of them were repeats because I just like METARs, man, that took me a while. And cloud formations, that took a while. So sometimes I'd have to rewatch them, but that's okay. You can do that. You can watch them as many times as you want. And then I think it was 4 or 5 months of all the studying and asking questions. I went for it. And I studied well enough that even with a lack of sleep the night before, I mean, a big lack of sleep, I still got passed with a B. So I'll take it. Now I don't know what's up for the renewal, though. I'm curious. Is it going to be a hard test or a small test? But the nice part about Remote Pilot, again, I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but it's good for my membership's good for life. So I paid the 150. I didn't use Ken Herron's discount because that came afterwards. So when I have to go for if I forget any information, I can go back and review it as many times as I want. But when I have to renew the course or renew my certification, they have a whole secondary course just for renewals. So again, it's good for life. I can start studying now if I want to, but I got a little bit of time. And so far what I've been able to retain, I haven't needed to go back on with them yet, but I haven't done any like looking for a nighttime waiver right at the airport yet. So room service?
Yeah, another beer.
I know what she's talking about. So she mentions the old rowboat at Hedgepeth. That was, now I know what she's talking about. That was the same point and shoot that I was using to take those videos I was just talking about. I just carried it with me everywhere I went, and I guess you call it like shutter trigger happy. I forget what the phrase is. Shutter bug. You just click away. I still have a bunch of thousands and thousands of pictures that were not so good, but you never know. And right. One of the ways I learned was just taking a ton of photographs, just keeping that shutter going. And when you get home, then chances are you have some good photographs because you have a lot to choose from. So statistically, you're more likely to have them. And at one time we went swimming at one of the private ponds, and I saw the water was perfectly still, and the rowboat a little bit of an angle, and I snapped a picture. And yeah, it was really pretty. So I do actually remember that exact photograph, and I could probably find it if I wanted to within a few minutes. But yeah, I remember that photograph. And she knows better than I know me.
So what would you say for someone to get into dispersed camping as you are now? What would just be an average cost if someone wanted to kind of get into it?
Well, the easiest time is right now, for one. A lot of businesses are trying to get people to buy from them, so there's sales. So that would be a good time. Also, we're in the summer. So hypothetically speaking, if you went somewhere around the 6,000 feet, 6,500 foot area, temperatures are, even at night, are really very, very, how do you say this? The temperature fluctuations are a lot smaller than they would be down in like Indian Valley Reservoir. It's going to be 103 or 105 every day. You're not going to find shade. And at night, it's probably going to be colder, maybe the high 40s, versus it's 6,000 to 6,500 feet. The last few times I've been there over the course of, we've been 4 times in the last 2 months. Only on the edge of the winter was the first one bad, but all the rest, the temperatures during the day were in the 70s, and at the night, maybe the low 50s. So even a cheap sleeping bag will work. When I first started camping, so I didn't even get my first good sleeping bag until about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Pepper and I finally decided we were done with, basically we'd bring all of our big blankets from home and make a bed out of those, along with the crappy sleeping bags that were like rated for like 40. And when you say a sleeping bag rating, That's what's going to make you or keep you alive, not keep you comfortable. So at 40 degrees, you're going to be comfortable. I mean, you're going to be alive, but not comfortable. Does that make sense? So I'm kind of exaggerating the temperature because 40 degrees isn't that bad. But the last year and a half, we finally splurged and got negative 25 bags, which to us was kind of overkill, but we would rather unzip them and be half covered than be freezing cold in the winter or have 2 different bags. But what I'm getting at, and I got sidetracked, was we didn't even have good sleeping bags until recently. We would bring our bedding. So if we slept in the car or slept in the tent, we would get an inexpensive air bed, which I now really don't like because I find they generate a lot of trash to landfill. Unless you bring, my one tip with that would be get a yoga mat, because the yoga mat can go under between you or the ground and the air bed, providing a bit of insulation, because a lot of people don't know it, but that air bed will actually suck heat out of you and draw some away. The yoga mat will add a little bit of insulation, a slight amount of R value, but also padding, so you're less likely to pop the air mattress. Because how many of you bought an air bed, used it twice, and then it had a hole in it and just threw it away? A lot of people. How many have actually taken the time to patch the thing? I bet on 0.25%. So I didn't even use sleeping bags. So where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to go, you can find a way. Bring your dishes from home. If you're wondering about food, after you go shopping, do what I call a pantry raid. Not a panty raid. Come on now. Get your mind out of the gutter. Pantry raid. Go into your pantry and grab what you'd normally cook, and then find what you can find for dishes to cook it without having to pack a ton of stuff. Because not everybody out there is going to have a 3/4 ton diesel to haul everything and anything and everything. Some of them are going to have a little Subaru, which will only hold so much stuff. So if you want to, you could do it with the stuff you have in your own house. Because likely you have some sort of backpack you could use to get your clothing there, and then doubles as your day pack when you're there. There's all these different things that can be cross-used, and it's perfect. So
you're telling me the only cost would be just to get there, your fuel cost.
Again, that's the big thing. It's the fuel cost.
Because you could pull everything from your house that you're living on now and take out.
With the exception of shelter. So like you don't have a tent, but that's what gets back to like right now is the perfect time. The chances of it raining and snowing up let's say near Plaskett Meadows, because it's really easy to find. And I know I repeat myself. It's my favorite place right now because you can fish there and it's beautiful. You don't have to have a tent. You could sleep on a tarp on the ground, or you could sleep on a moving blanket on the ground. I would just put something between my sleeping bag and myself, something. Or like I said, go over to the sporting warehouse, whatever, and get yourself a yoga mat and an inexpensive air bed, or just get a yoga mat. And some people like to sleep on their back and they like a firmer mattress anyway. I'm just spouting ideas, hoping somebody will go, that works. Okay, I'm going this weekend. I'm trying to ignite that fire and get it going. I'm basically applying a leaf blower to a fledgling fire right now. I'm applying a whole lot of oxygen to get you out there because, the more we use it, the more likely we are to maybe have more funding put into the National Forest. If more people are saying I'm enjoying it and I want it, maybe it'll happen. If the more people that are out there that are good people, the more stewards we have that are going to be keeping the trails, clear of a fallen tree, or be out there if a nice young lady gets a flat tire, which I discovered and had no idea how to change one. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, this is a great time to learn dispersed camping. And if you want to find a way, you will find a way. It's not that hard. I would be more than happy to do my best to help you brainstorm through whatever little thing we didn't cover. I mean, we just covered food, dishes, and sleepwear. In theory, you can sleep in the back of your car. So what do you, food storage options? I guess we didn't go over that one. You could go get an insulated bag from Oliver's or a local Whole Foods, maybe. They have those insulated carry bags. Get foods that are either vegan is good because it's mostly vegetable, or get stuff the less perishable like salami and cheeses. They don't need to stay as cold as long. There are solutions to this. Eggs, they don't have to be refrigerated. There are options out there. You could always do oatmeal for breakfast. So that means you need a little bit of water and oatmeal. How much room does that take up? And weight? Nothing. Right. So there's your breakfast. And if you want to spice it up, bring a little bit of honey, a little bit of some cinnamon and some raisins, maybe some blueberries. I don't know. Boom, breakfast is done. Make it simple. For lunch, a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I got a 1 a day minimum. I'm set. There's my lunch right there.
Right.
You could pre-pack those for days if you wanted to. Just an example. And I'm trying to think off the cuff right now, real fast. For dinner, the easy one for me, but the difficult one is also difficult at the same time, is pasta. You boil water, you stick pasta in, but you got to haul the big pots. You got to haul the strainer. So we've been finding very easy is where we live in Windsor, there's more Mexican markets and restaurants than there are gas stations. I kid you not. We literally have more places to go get a burrito than fill up your gas tank. Right up the street, there's one where you can get it's pre-made fajita mix. They chop up the chicken, they season it. It's got bell peppers and onions and everything. It's ready to go. Carry that, can of beans, and pre-cook a little bit of rice, maybe a couple of tortillas. How much room does that take up? Boom, you've got dinner. And if you eat it that same night you arrive, another trick that we employ is the first day we are out heading to camp, let's say, we don't cook. We actually stop at Oliver's. If we're leaving in the morning, we'll get a breakfast burrito each, which are like $3 or $4 for eggs, potatoes, cheese, and if you want bacon or ham or chorizo, like they have them if you want. And we generally go for the basic ones. And then we'll order their super burrito. And they're massive. I mean, these things are huge. So I can fill up on it and Pepper can fill up on one. So there's breakfast and lunch and dinner all in the first day. All in the same bag. And they're staying warm in the foil bag on the back seat of the car or the truck. So you could get your first day's food at the market on the way out. And then the next day, again, you could have your oatmeal. You could have your salami sandwiches for lunch. You could get the little packets from Safeway on your way out of mayonnaise. They don't taste bad and they don't have to be refrigerated. Again, where there's a will, there's a way. And again, you don't have to have some monster Jeep. You don't have to have some crazy Toyota. You just need to have a resource like myself or others out there. Call one of the ranger's office. There are places you can go to in a Mazda M3. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, just get out there and try it, right? You learn as you go.
Pretty much.
Have them check out your channel on YouTube and Facebook, and maybe they can get a couple pointers and hints as they want to go out there and try to explore, especially there on the Mendocino where you tend to travel quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. I do go to Indian Valley. I have been to Tahoe. I like Tahoe. They're great places. Just for me, it's so close and so easy. And even after all this amount of time and actively exploring new places, I'm still seeing new stuff every single time. I'm meeting new people that are finding, hey, I saw you on YouTube. It's fantastic. So locally internet famous.
Christopher was on here and he said, and then came Beat 2.
Oh, I think I know which Christopher that is. Yeah, there is the episode number 2. The first one is us just basically beating it up, and then it's got the little voice mixers of the movie soundtracks. The second one is us just beating it even more. And they're literally the first 2 uploads I ever did. And I don't know if there's music on them, so I wouldn't recommend even playing them. But yeah, then came Beat 2. I don't know that I still have the footage, but maybe. But it's pretty funny. I mean, again, we got the thing for $100. We tried to do it again. Later, we did it for $400 with an F100 V8. That was a horrible idea. That much power and that much steel. Never doing it again. That people that was bad in many ways. People almost got hurt real bad, and the truck did some things that we had a massive fuel leak at one point while the thing's high centered on a stump on the transmission pan. Right? It's like you placed it there with a crane sitting on the transmission pan on a stump, and it's pouring fuel. Like, never doing that again. We did another one with an Isuzu Trooper. Somebody forgot to put the oil cap back on, so we got about a mile, maybe 2, ran out of oil. It was done. The first one was the cheapest. It cost us each under $100, and we got to drive it to the point where all of us were like, I've done everything I want to do. I'm good. It was probably the most fun in 36 hours I'd ever had, because it was a constant, just nonstop go, go, go. Because we had dirt bikes too. We had brought some firearms, so we were actually shooting at it at one point for a while.
Oh, jeez.
It was a lot of oops. I just started the camera. It was a hell of a lot of fun.
We had Joe Mack on here as well, and that's our friend from Dublin, Ireland. Came across a live stream. Thought he'd drop in and say hello. And
Other side of the pond. Is that the same one? Do I see you on Val's channel?
he was on here last week on our channel here. When
No,
I
I
had
mean in the
Brooklyn
chat on Val's channel and like Canadian Drone Hub or whatever.
Yeah,
I swear that name seems familiar.
Yeah, if you're watching last week's show with when I had Brooklyn on it as a guest, Joe Mack came in and said hi. So it might have been from that show.
Yeah, sounds familiar. I did watch it. I was driving, so I couldn't come on, but I was watching it live as I was driving down the south on the 101. You came on just after I got south of 175.
Okay.
Really nice road, really pretty. I got dumped on that road one time with a trailer and didn't know that it's 39 feet max until I saw the sign. And then right after that is a sign that says no turnaround.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Our truck is dead on 20 feet, and I was towing a car trailer. So I don't know what I was at, but there were a few times where it was like, there's a car coming. Yeah, but I did it in the Subaru last time, and it was that was a really beautiful, pretty drive. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so with Dispersed Camping, tell us one of the best trips that you've been on. Maybe the most memorable trip.
The most memorable for me that comes to mind real quick off the top of my head was many years ago. I don't remember the date. See, my youngest kid is 13. It was before him. So let's say 15 years.
Wow.
We brought our Toyota pickup, 87, brought my 86 XR350. A friend of mine had a mid 90s Forester. Another one had a early 90s Toyota V6 truck. And the other one had like a mid 90s Jeep of some kind. And we decided we were going to go from Sonoma County, first night stay at our whole mountain site, which is about 2/3 of the way up the mountain. And then the next day we were going to head over the top of Whole Mountain, past, I think it's Bald Mountain, back down to FH7, load the bikes back up in the trucks, and then head up M1 into Indian Dick. We did that over the course of like 2.5, I think it was 2 days to do that entire route.
Oh, wow.
And that was a lot of fun, mostly because we were just so carefree. Nobody got hurt, no flat tires, nothing wrong. And the end point was a dispersed spot that has really good swimming that time of year. And so everything went pretty much according to plan, if that makes sense. The people we wanted to come came. The route we wanted to go on worked. The vehicles worked. And the spot we wanted to stay at in the end was the exact spot we wanted. So that would be the first one that stuck out with me. And it's actually been a while, but we're trying now to get something in the works. I don't know how to do it with COVID, but I really want to do something like that with a few more people this time, and maybe do a longer route or do multiple routes per day. Stay at one spot, maybe in the middle of the forest on FH7, and then one day head northwest. Have everybody a map. Here's go find these locations, come back, we'll hang out, and then the next day I want you to go northeast. Here's your route. Here's your landmarks. Go find them. Something like a treasure hunt kind of thing, in the sense that
That's cool.
Not geocaching, like I'm literally leaving something for them to pick up, but more just hey, take a photograph while you're there, show you're there. Not
That's
like there'd
cool.
be any prizes or whatnot, but it'd still be a lot of fun because we could expose different people at different levels to different areas. So hey, I've got a Subaru and I've got some off-roading experience. So okay, well, you've got a decent car, a really good car for off-roading, but you need some experience. Okay, well, let's find you a route. Let's teach you. It's not that hard. Or maybe they do have something that's a little more capable. Okay, let's find you a route that would make you or give you a good time and have fun. And that's something I would like to do. And along the way, be able to offer people the opportunity to, if you want, I'll strap cameras on your car. I'll fly the drone over you because I'm a commercial pilot. Now we can sell you the footage, and let's make you a little video and sell it to you. It might be a fun way to make some money, and use all this RC experience to try and bring back some money, along with trying to use the construction inspection with the drones to make money. Somehow, I just want to stop carrying wire. I mean, if there's one trade that I'm lucky and privileged and happy to be in, is electrical. It seems to be something that I really enjoy doing and do well. And it's the least impactful on your body, in my opinion, versus like being a roofer or a framer where you're lifting up big, heavy walls. Like all those are just, ooh. I've been lucky that I've done a lot of more mind over bronze work, but I want to be able to keep my back, until I'm 80. And in theory, with Part 107, as long as I've got use of my hands,
Right.
somebody else can set the drone on the ground, turn it on. I can still fly. So that was another asset of getting the Part 107. Plus, being able to charge more money than what I'm making in construction right now would be really helpful. I've done good, but not well enough. I don't quite have a big enough nest egg, if that makes sense.
Right. How about tell us about one of maybe your worst trips that you've been on? Maybe something that didn't go so well.
All right. I can think of one real quick. So we decided to go stay again near Indian Dick, a group of us, and we arrived. I think it was early July. 3 cars. I want to say 5 people, a dog, and a kid. And we get there, and it's a dispersed spot. Like you go around this bridge, the road Y's off, and you go down. The main road keeps going, and you go dip down, and not even 100 yards off the main road. I mean, you're like 4 car lengths from the main road. Is basically like a perimeter, if you will, of camp, where it's like obvious this is a campsite.
Right.
Had a fire ring and a bench, and we set up camp. We're having a great time, and then for some reason, I don't know why, this other couple younger gentlemen. I mean, we're in our, I want to say early 20s, very early 20s, and they're early 20s. This is forever ago. So they say, hey, we're waiting for some buddies. Can we hang out here until they get here, and then we'll head out? And we're like, well, nothing wrong with that. Sure, go ahead. And then somebody, one car showed up. I'm like, okay. And then another car showed up. I'm like, oh, okay. And the next thing I know, they're unpacking.
Oh no.
Yeah, and like I said, if you were to draw a ring of what camp would look like to an average person, forgive me, I know that sounds really generic. They're like 15, 20 feet off the edge of that. And then their camp is like 15, 20 feet off the edge of the road. So, and they're actually parked their other vehicles that were still arriving on the main road. So they ended up squatting right next to us. Out of the entire forest, they decided to stay right next to us. So we went over very politely and tried to talk with them, and we're like, no, we've been coming here forever, and you guys are here the weekend we've always come. We always come here this time of year, and blah blah. Well, hey, first come first serve. I'm like, well, first come first serve. We're right here. Like, well, come on though. Like, this is a national forest. Can you come on? Like, no, they were not budging.
Oh, wow.
They made it clear they weren't going to budge. So, all right, with knowing that the only way to get them out is routes we don't want to go down. So, well, none of my crowd is violent in any stretch or form. So we turned around and walked away, tail between the legs, because they were still there. So every time we left camp, we had to squeeze by their cars in their camp to get in and out. Not much fun. And then the next day, we're down in the river playing, and there's a cliff edge up above, like, I don't know, 100 feet up. And I'm down there hanging out in the water, which is beautiful that time of year, and with our daughter, and she's, I don't know, single digits, 4 to 6. We're down there, and next thing I know, there's gunshots right above us. And what the hell? I look up, and they're clay shooting over the river. They're throwing them over the river 100 feet above us. They don't know we're down there, and they're shooting, I think, clays. They're throwing them right over us, and we're 100 feet below them. I was pissed at that point. I went up there like your atypical dad that feels like his kid's in danger, and I got straight in that guy's face with a shotgun in his hand. He was holding a gun. I'm not. I'm in my bathing suit. Like, I got right in his face, and I I got words. He's the one with the gun. I didn't even bring a knife, so he left. I ended up saying, fuck this. Like, I went down to the ranger station. I called the ranger. Like 2 hours later, the ranger shows up, and I explained they were shooting over us. We were there first. Every time we were driving in and out of camp, they were yelling insults at us. They were being rude and just being jerks. I mean, the epitome of everything you don't ever want to see. This has only happened once. Let me make it clear.
Only once.
Only once. Don't think this happens all the time. Let me make that very clear. This only happened once. And yeah, it was miserable. Every time we drive by, they'd say something. The ranger comes in and basically he couldn't get them for shooting clays for littering. Even though they were shooting directly over us, they were still distance-wise away from us, according to him. And because there was technically enough room to put another tent right there, and it's still dispersed camping, and there's no official boundaries, there was nothing he could do. So we had to deal with them the whole weekend. I ended up losing a friend and his mom. They got tired of the BS and they left. The other friends stuck around, but I got to admit, it kind of made things pretty abrasive and not much fun because they wanted to use the river too, and we were not happy with them. So
what would you have done different if you would have come across that same situation?
no, what I'd do different now would be to make it clear that there's someone in camp, for one, and for two, I would find an extra object of some kind to be selfish and claim that camp as mine. I have actually done that. If you look at my video called Big Dove, it's a really big campsite, but it's got a perimeter in the trees. And the last time I was there, I set up a tent next to the other fire ring and put a cooler there. Now that's kind of being selfish, but at the same time, 918,000 acres.
Right.
You can find somewhere other to stay than so close that I can hear you chopping your onions. That's a little close to me. It's one thing to hear the music off in the distance or hear some gunshots a mile or two away, but it's another when you can hear chop, 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 and then that occasional ha, I'd rather be right next to you and hear everything, but I don't want it. So that's what I do now is I'll mark the trail somehow that's, John Doe is staying here. There's one spot that I haven't stayed at, but I really want to on SB Ridge, that the road to get in is definitely barely even one lane. And it's like a half mile to 3/4 of a mile to get to camp, which is huge. But so if somebody was to come up that road exploring, they wouldn't have a turnaround except in your camp. So in that one, I do mention in the video, this is a long way up. I would probably put a paper plate or something to indicate there's somebody up here, because if I knew someone was up there, I would probably just go to another end road, considering there's so many out there. And we do go over that in another video called Dispersed Camping Etiquette, where we talk about approaching other camps. We talk about, slow down when you come to a campground or a dispersed camp. Going 1,000 miles an hour past them is not only dangerous, but going to just cover them in dust. And you're not going to be that cool driver. You're going to be that driver for a long time. That driver that left them miserable going, oh, thanks. And leaving grit in their onions and grit in their potatoes. And there's a lot of the stuff that might not be common sense. I hate that phrase because, it's common to, whatever. We cover a lot of that in the Dispersed Camping Etiquette video because there are a lot of those things that people don't think about. And but again, 99.9, and the 9 keeps going. All of my interactions have been great. I've never had an issue. I've never, in the Mendocino National Forest, I've never had anything stolen. Best I can tell, nothing's ever gone through. No person's ever gone through my stuff. I've never felt uncomfortable. I've never felt alone. Indian Valley, there was one time I felt fairly uncomfortable, but it ended up okay. They ended up just leaving. But that was only once, and I've been going there for at least 13 years, if not 14. That's a lot. But the Mendocino National Forest, everyone is nice. Everyone you meet. Worst case, they might just, but they're at least going to give you the,
right.
And at best, they're going to talk your ear off too much. That's the worst case. And I don't mind. I like meeting people out there because I'm going to learn new places. I'm going to meet new people. Shoot, if I had to stop to talk to you, we wouldn't be here right now. Or actually, no, you stopped to talk to me because I was on foot.
Yep.
So you stopped your vehicle to talk to us. And if you hadn't, I never would have met you, along with some of the viewers. I mean, I think I said the last 5 trips I've been out, I've run into my viewers when I get to camp or I'm on the way to go camping. And it's pretty cool. If you see me out there, stop me and say hi. It's a lot of fun. I like meeting people. COVID's got me down because I'm very much a social butterfly. I love to meet everybody.
And I think you're pretty easy to find out there too, with the old blue goatee going on.
Yeah. It's kind of my trademark. I actually I get called Bluebeard quite a bit, and but I haven't looked it up. I would imagine that's probably copyrighted. but I'd love to just call my channel Bluebeard Explorer or something because it's so much more of a trademark. But excuse me, it probably is taken. I haven't looked, but yeah, it definitely makes me stand out when I roll my window down. Oh yeah, it's you, because a white 2014 Duramax diesel. How many of those did they make?
Right.
A whole lot.
Well, I was kind of wondering if this color changes with the seasons, or is it always just blue?
It's pink for October for breast cancer awareness. It gives me a good excuse to go pink, and man, that gets me a lot of smiles. I mean, from guys of all ages and women of all ages, I get a lot of smiles. I've had one girl shout across the restaurant. I mean, from the other end of the restaurant as I was leaving, "That's really cute!" Like it's really, it gets me a lot of attention. It works now. It's working great as a trademark. That wasn't the original reason why I did it. I just became an attention whore when I realized that it was salt and pepper. I started coloring it, and then I started getting comments, and people would like, a little old lady be like, "That's cute," like whatever. I liked it. Or I get a girl behind the counter is like, "Oh, why do you color your chin blue?" "Oh, I like to see a pretty girl smile." It makes an easier way to break the ice. And when I run into that person again, they may not remember my name, Dylan, but they're going to remember when and where they ran into me.
Right.
And if I call in and I don't have the receipt, hey, I'm that guy that came in with a blue chin. Oh yeah. And that's worked a number of times, quite a number of times. But there have been times I've changed it just out of spontaneity. I've done green, red, blue, purple. My favorite though, which I haven't really taken the time, which I intend to do again, is purple down to blue. So because the purple lasts longer up here, and then I just touch up the blue every couple of days, and then it gives me that fade. It makes me look like I'm more advanced at my hair dyeing. But yeah, it's turning into a trademark for sure.
Gotcha. So along with your dispersed camping, and as you're doing more and more, and you learn what you need up on the hill as you're up there camping. For Dylan to go up to take a trip this next weekend, what's in your trailer? What's in your truck? What is some of the stuff that you gotta have while you're up there?
You got another hour? No kidding. Okay,
just so real quick.
What do I gotta have? Okay,
just name them off, just real quick. Okay. We don't have to go into.
I gotta have one drone. I gotta have one action camera and a DSLR. There's my cameras. Okay, if I had to just real quick, I'm gonna bring one tripod. I'm gonna bring our big camp stove. I'm gonna bring. We have the big giant water totes. I'm gonna probably bring 2 or 3 of those. I figure 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons a day per person will allow you a little bit of buffer for dishes and whatnot. Let's see, sleepwear. I got the -25 bags, so those are already bunched up. I'm gonna toss those in. For me, camping's pretty quick. A couple of my totes, my electrical tote, which carries all my lights, extension cords. I know extension cords. I grab the tote and it's got all my string lights, LED lights, clamp lights, spotlights. They're in a tote, goes in the trailer. Camping gear, where it's got a mosquito net that's got a ceiling and 4 walls, shower bottom, propane hose to hook stuff up, some duct tape, some baling wire, basic tools, boom, already in the tote. I'm in the trailer. So a lot of that stuff is ready to go. Stuff that's not necessarily ready to go, some of the specialized dishes. We have brought the rice maker. We have brought the coffee pot, like the regular home coffee pot. So we brought a toaster oven. We did once bring the barbecue smoker. It's huge, but it fits in the trailer. Must-haves. Oh, radios are now must-haves. And then we have a Philips Hue light that's the bowl-looking one. Looks like something out of Wall-E. We call her Eve because it looks like Eve from Wall-E.
Yeah, right.
It's got battery in like 4 different colors. It's fantastic for like ambient light in when you're cooking or sitting around the campfire. It's not quite bright enough for cooking, but it's not too bright for sitting. It's kind of in the middle. Those are my like go-to must-haves. Oh, a shovel. Can't forget a shovel. Got to be able to dig a hole.
Right.
And put out a fire, all those things. Get yourself unstuck if you get stuck. Well, hopefully, those would be my quick go-tos. But I mean, what I bring in reality.
I like that what you had in the one video on your page there with the bathroom setup that you had.
Oh, so that was supposed to be our shower.
Right.
We went and bought a a solar shower where it's the plastic bag, the bigger one of the two. I think it's like 3 gallons. And then we bought for $10 more. We found one with a shower head and hose and battery and pump unit combined. So it's basically this battery pump unit with on-off switch, waterproof. You stick in the water with a hose that comes out to a shower one. Well, we wanted to find out which one worked better for us. Turns out we've never used the solar shower. To me, which I need to do a video at some point, the solar shower, I don't like grabbing the valve when my hands are covered in soap. It can stick, and then you're getting soap in your eyes. No bueno. Me, because I'm towing a 6x10 box trailer in a 3/4 ton diesel truck, I'm gonna bring anything and everything. So I don't mind bringing 2 aluminum stock pots. They're aluminum, they don't weigh that much. They fit in the back of the trailer, and then I can boil 10 gallons of water at a time, and we have 10-gallon showers. It's plenty enough, especially for somebody like me. 4 gallons, 5 gallons is a luxurious shower. Like, I've soaked down twice. We bring a couple of fold-out plastic tables. We bring zero-gravity chairs plus regular camping chairs. I sometimes like to be upright when I'm eating. I want to be upright in a chair. When I'm relaxing at night, I want to be able to swing back and look at the stars, hence the zero-gravity chairs. We do bring string lights to put across camp. I have to bring power on the trips because of the number of cameras. On the average day, I'm charging 3 Osmo Action batteries at a time. I'm probably charging 3 or 4 drone batteries at a time. I have a multi-charger, so I can charge multiple batteries at one time. The Session, which I'm still holding, the Hero 4, the DSLR, I keep going. I need power. So we bring a generator for at night, and then we also have an 85 amp hour deep cycle battery with the ability to charge it off of the truck via a 7-pin connector in the bed of the truck, which we have reduced to a 2-pin connector cigarette lighter, basically, off Amazon. It plugs into the 7-pin and it gives you 2 cigarette ports, and that will trickle charge the battery during the day. Or we do actually carry a battery tender that we can hook up the generator and charge the battery. For bedding, what I actually use, I use those black totes that they sell at Home Depot with yellow lids. And we use 4 of those with a piece of plywood across the top to span them. And then we have, I think it's a full-size tri-fold mattress that folds up 3 times. So it could be a futon if you wanted it to be. But during the night, we lay it out flat, and it's 4 inches thick of foam. Works perfect because we get that R value of the foam. We're both side sleepers, so we get that a little bit of give. It's soft and nice. One of my camping hacks, if you will, I have 2 of those really old medical heat pads. Those heat pads, like high, medium, low, when your shoulder's sore. You put a heat pad there, but they're electric. You plug them in the wall, right? Well, I have a couple that are really old. There's no timers on them. There's no temperature sensors. It's high, medium, low, but each one only uses 15 watts. Even on high, that's not much. So I'll run it off the inverter or the generator. What I'll do is I'll basically put that above the mattress, below the sleeping bag, take our pillows, invert them upside down so the face side is now facing down, and cover half of that pad, and then I'll cover the rest of it with the sleeping bag. So now part of my torso is being warmed before I get in bed, and my pillow's getting warmed. You ever gotten into bed with a foam pillow when it's like 30 degrees out? Might as well be a rock.
Right.
If you preheat everything, you're good to go. And at 15 watts, as long as it's a pure sine wave inverter, you can run that off of your car battery for half an hour, and you're not going to kill your car battery. I carry 2 of those. Your happy wife, happy life, right? So she's got one, I've got one. And because they're so slim and flexible, I leave them in there. And then each night I turn them on and plug them in, and it pre-warms our bed for us. Because even in the summertime, that little first chill can be a bit much, but 15 watts is nothing. That's my camping hack for the day. There you go.
I gotcha. Well, the family is dying to get back in the trailer here, so we've got to kind of close this show up because I'm kind of hogging it to myself, and the sun's going down outside. So Dylan, I kind of summarize everything right now. You're at the end of your construction phase. Still disperse camping when you can. Trying to get into or I guess you are in the drone commercial world, right? Trying to get your name out there.
I've been paid to do it, so I guess you could say that. I just gave another bid last Friday. So yeah, we're in it. Not
You're
making
in it.
much money off it, but we're in it. A lot of potential. That's what matters.
And with everything that's going on, I know you got a lot going on. Where do you see yourself at in about 5 years?
Uh, where do I see it? So if I'm allowed to go to Dreamland,
Yeah, go Dreamland,
okay.
man.
So right now we just started our Patreon to try and get some support so that we can up our game as far as cameras, audio, and more time editing, so that our videos have higher quality and more story to them, more depth, more engaging. But with that said, basically Pepper's working more than 40 hours a week, literally editing our videos right now, and that's just the editing, let alone the recording and the driving there and getting back, the filming while we're there, the scrubbing through it to find the good stuff. Um, I hope that in my dreaming, I see us in 5 years doing guided trips with where we teach people how to drive off road, basic. We're not advanced users, and while we're out there, make them a custom video. Whether we plant cameras on the ground, fly cameras through the air, we document you being out in the forest. Meanwhile, once they're done and they go home, Pepper and I are out exploring the forest, discovering new locations, and sharing those with you, the viewer out there. And then doing our best to give you the coordinates, some idea what we found, and some other highlights of the videos. And so I would like to see myself doing part-time construction inspection to pay the majority of the bills, and then part-time also out guiding and doing videos. There's a lot out there, a lot to explore, and no one else is showing it off. And right now it's really difficult that if you wanted to go to someplace, you can see it on the map and you can find it, but wouldn't it be nice to have a little more than just a still image that somebody uploaded to Google? You don't really know when it was taken, what time of year, whether that really is that spot. Well, a video is proof positive, right? So that's what I'm trying to offer.
Nice.
And in the meantime, why not? If you're out there with me, then let's give you a memory to reminisce on back 5 years from now. I mean, I get notices on my Facebook and YouTube, and I go through them all the time. Oh, you posted this 5 years ago. I love going back through my old stuff and going, oh God, that was so bad. Oh, but it's awesome where I've come. So that's my goal in 5 years is to be guiding and making videos, more and more of them with better and better gear. So feel free to check us out on Patreon if I'm allowed to give myself a shout out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was just gonna say, how can people connect with you, find out what you're up to, what you're doing?
On my YouTube videos, you can Dylan Pankow on YouTube is to see my most recent works, and Pepper's too. She's doing a lot of the work. I got to give her credit where credit's due. But we're also on Patreon under Dylan Pankow. It's got the same thumbnail picture and banner picture, so it's the same person. Also within I've been trying to go back through our older videos and add the link to our Patreon through there. And when I say Patreon, it starts at $2 a month as a general, help us out. But it goes all the way up to $25 a month. I'll not only give you some one-on-one time every month where you can call me with questions about stoves, where to go or whatever. I'll give you a committed amount of time, but also I will give you I mentioned it before. Every time I go somewhere, I save a pin in my Google Maps or my places. I'm over 107 locations. Now that's emergency rooms, CAL FIRE, places to go get selfies, fly your drone, dispersed campgrounds. So when you're out and about, what's close by. If you get injured, you know where the closest emergency room is. You know where the closest dispersed campsite is, place to hike, something I recommend you take a picture at. You can download all of those from my Patreon also. And then once a month, I send you, I update the file. You get my new locations with descriptions and whatnot. So Patreon has a whole lot of levels. Plus, we launch our videos early there. And there are also videos, pictures, and content that we don't upload anywhere else. So if you want to see additional videos, more cuts, behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff, we're publishing more often. We're publishing more than daily at this rate to Patreon. I've got photos, videos, and messages going up more than once a day, every day. So
cool.
Feel free to check us out on there and support me in my dream.
Are you on Instagram or Facebook at all?
I'm on Facebook as Dylan Pankow. I'm on Instagram as Pankow Dylan.
Okay.
So you can look me up backwards. I'm pretty active. I'm extremely active on Facebook, but I'm very selective about who I let into my into my friends, but I will do my best to always respond to private messages. Instagram, I haven't been so good about uploading to Instagram in a long time. You can find me on there and you can see a lot of my pictures. Some of them are really good, I think, but I'm not as active as I am on Facebook and on YouTube and Patreon. Those are my top 3 right now. And yeah, things are exciting things coming in the future with these better videos and more outings and more people.
Yeah, very cool, man. And we'll get links in the description down below too if people want to check your stuff out. I'll have all the links there where they can. But I gotta thank you, Dylan, for coming on the show. I know we could have several more hours of talk.
Oh, easily.
You just got so much going on in your life, and interesting stuff. But maybe in the future we'll have you on again.
I would love to.
Keep us updated on what you got going on.
Yeah, please do. Yes, it's an active community of learners, right? We're all trying to work together to find different places and whatnot, and learn. I watched your videos riding the side by side. Makes me want one so bad. But I wouldn't know if I wasn't actually in one. How would I get in one if somebody like you didn't launch some kind of video where you include the audio from the radios and your dog wearing the goggles? I really feel immersed. No, I'm being genuine there. Seriously, it really is a lot of fun.
We'll get you in one here soon.
Okay. Well, I'm going to cross my fingers, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
You'll get the full experience. I guarantee it. All right, man. Well, thank you. Well, we got to end the show now. The kids and the wife are just about ready to beat down this door. I want to get in here. It's getting cold outside. So thank you for watching. Please throw a like if you guys like what you're watching. We got more guests in the future coming up that are quite adventurous. So you don't want to miss out. I think we're going to try Thursdays about 5 o'clock. I think is a good time for me anyways. So yeah, we'll see you then. Dylan, if you hang on a sec, I'm going to end the show here and we can talk here real quick.
Bye, everybody. See you.
See you later, guys. Thank you.